Then from there, he says the next location is Tamraparani river, which is in Trinalveli. So from there, he says you go to Kavatam. Kavatam was in, water area. And as I showed in the Periplus map, it was there. Some landforms were above the sea level till 2000 years ago. This is Sri Lanka. So this is Colombo. That means here Kalenia. That is Hanuman landed up here. Somewhere here was the Trikuta Shikara. How did he go there? The Sita saw 5 Vanaras standing there. Then she had thrown down her jewelry. That is Belagavi, not in Hampi. That's a very huge mistake that people have made.
Namaste, ma'am.
Yeah, namaste.
Welcome to Satyameva once again. And first, we will go with Vidyaji's introduction. And once that is done, we will proceed with the presentation.
Okay.
Namaste, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all. It's once again my privilege today to introduce our speaker for today, who is no stranger to the platform of Satyameva, Dr. Jayasree Saranathan. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you with us once again here. Dr. Jayasree, who is a native of Chennai, Tamil Nadu, wears many hats. She is a researcher, a speaker, an author of several books, and a writer in mainstream print magazines, both in Tamil and English, right since 1990. A PhD holder in astrology, Dr. Jayasree went on to do specialization in dating of past historic events such as the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, as well as the life history of famous Indian personalities such as Sri Ramanujacharya and Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Jayasree, a person of diverse knowledge with academic studies in economics, history, and business administration, has also done a certificate course in epigraphy. Her deep interest in Indology, Hindu epics, Tamil Sangam literature, prehistory, astrometeorology, etc., led her to ably connect the missing dots in ancient texts. She has done its correct interpretation as well as carried out extensive research and also written several articles in depth on the same. Dr. Jayasree has authored over 10 to 12 books. The following are the titles of some of her books: Oral Cancer, Astrological Prediction and Remedies; Mahabharata 3136 BCE, Validation of the Traditional Date; Ramanuja Itihasa, Decoding the Identity of Krimikanta Chola and the Muslim Invader at Melukote; When was the first Vedic Homa done? Who killed Aditya Karikala, the Historical Facts; Date of Adi Shankara, 148 BCE, etc. Her latest book is about establishing the date of Ramayana. It establishes 5114 BCE as the birth year of Sri Rama and other events by corroborating all planetary and Panchanga features given by Maharishi Valmiki as per the Indic calendar system of year names, months, tithis, and stars, which are all done by using astrology software. Titled Ramayana 5114 BCE, this book resolves long-standing issues around the Ramayana, such as the yuga when it happened, the mismatch between the birth tithi and the birth star of Sri Rama, the absence of change in seasons and months now as they were in Rama's time, the truth about the Vanara species, the human tongue spoken by Sri Hanumanji and Sitama in the Ashokavana, location of Ravana's Lanka and the Ramasetu, as well as historical evidences from Tamil sources. This 200-paged book is a shorter version of the main book, which will be published soon. It has shown that the meteor hit just before the war with Khara, and this is corroborated by the GRF for the exact year 5078 CE. Jayasree has also mentioned about the meteor cavities, which were identified to Bakeshwar temple in Nashik. Dr. Jayasree is in constant touch with geologists to initiate steps for dating of these cavities. The longer version of Dr. Jayasree's book will be having 3 parts. The first one will be dealing with issues such as 11,000-year rule of Ramaraja, Vatapi lore, Ahalya turning into stone, Vali Vadha, Agni Pravesha, etc. Part 2 will contain the decipherment. Part 3 will be all about trivia such as weapons used, the presence of iron in Ramayana, the flora and fauna of the forests, the climate, the beauty products used by them, the jewelry of Sitama, the path taken by Ravana during abduction of Sitama, path taken by the Vanaras to Lanka, and the path taken by Sri Rama while going for war, and many, many more such inputs. Of all these details, Jayasree ji will be presenting her findings about the location of Sri Lanka for her talk now. Dr. Jayasree Saranathan, ma'am, it's once again an honor to have you amongst us here on Satyameva Jayate. Thank you so much for joining us. We are eagerly listening, waiting for your talk. Thank you so much. Over to you. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Ms. Vidya, for the wonderful introduction about my book and particularly about the Ramayana events that I'm going to present in my book and that I'm going to talk now. I'm very glad to be here. I'll be sharing the space with you and talk about Ravana's Lanka. And anything Dr. Mr. Ravishankar ji wants to see, or shall we start?
We can start, madam. Once you are done, let me know. We will open it up for questions.
Okay, so starting about the title. The title given to me is The Mystery of Ravana's Lanka. Why this title? Why is there a need to have this talk on this topic? That question I want to address now. Until 100 years ago, no one doubted the place of Ravana's Lanka. Everybody were of the opinion that Ravana's Lanka was in Sri Lanka and that Rama, along with the Vanaras, crossed the ocean on the eastern side from Rameshwaram to Sri Lanka and then went over there to Lanka of Ravana and defeated him. This theory or this knowledge was known to everybody. No one suspected that. But the suspicion started coming up only after the British started reviewing our texts. When they started reading our Ramayana, they couldn't believe that Rama would have traveled all the way from Ayodhya, from Sarayu to Ganga, then to Chitrakoot, then to Panchavati, that is in Nashik, then to that is Kishkinda, and then to Rameshwaram, and then crossing the sea. All these are impossible by a person to go by walk through the forest in the olden days. So they started suspecting and planting suspicion in the minds of the people. That is how the suspicion started, and our own scholars for nearly 100 years have started talking about why Ravana's Lanka can't be in India itself. Because within India, there are many places known as Lanka. That name Lanka is there from Assam to Tamil Nadu in many places. So why not one of those places where the Lanka of Ravana? Well, how can we believe that Rama had gone all the way to South India, across the sea? So our scholars themselves started writing articles like this. Currently, we have Mr. Ajith Nadamuri Ravi, an ex-official of ISRO, and Mr. Nilesh Neelkant. They also have questioned this, and they are not putting Lanka in Sri Lanka. So that is why the need comes for us to ask whether the Ravana's Lanka existed in Sri Lanka or in India itself. So with that introduction, let me start sharing some of the slides I have made for explaining this. I will do the sharing now. See the mystery of Ravana's Lanka. As I have already given you the introduction about the presence of many Lankas, let us start from what are those Lankas within India, because that is a concept promoted by our Indic scholars themselves and the present day scholars also. So let me show you now this place. This is, can you see one dark patch? That is the river of Mahanadi. You can see the Mahanadi there. Mahanadi. Across Mahanadi, there is one place called Lankeshwari. So it is like this. That Lankeshwari is a small temple on a mound in the middle of the river Mahanadi in Odisha. So some people have said this could have been Ravana's Lanka, and Rama could have built a bridge across Mahanadi to reach this place. And here is one. This is Indrana. This is near Jabalpur, across the river Narmada in Madhya Pradesh. And there are many falls in this place. I'm showing you one waterfall, and behind that a hill. And some of the scholars have felt Since Ravana was in a conical hill, his hill was Trikuta Shikara. In Ramayana itself, it is being told that Ravana's Lanka was on top of Trikuta Shikara. Trikuta means three faces or three humps. So it will be conical on top. So this hill being conical on top and a waterfall nearby, people have thought this could have been Ravana's Lanka. This is across Narmada River near Jabalpur. And this one is Amarkantak. In the middle, you can see the name Amarkantak. Amarkantak has been told by many scholars in the past, not present day past scholars, maybe some 50 years ago or 60 years ago. They identified Amarkantak as the place of Ravana's Lanka. And there are many temples in Amarkantak. One of them I am showing here, but no one knows which was the exact place. They were not able to establish. And this is the background of this Amarkantak. Now, I'm going to show you the one by Mr. Ajith Nadumuri Ravi. You would have heard about him, and he is presently writing about Ramayana, geography of our India through Ramayana and Mahabharata and Vedic studies, all that. And he has written a book on the Ramayana places in which he is placing Ravana's Lanka in Bhagatrao. See here, one point you are seeing on the coast of Gujarat, and that was on near Narmada River. He says that is Ravana's Lanka, and Rama would have only crossed Narmada River. He would not have come down this is South India at all. And to show this is that is to prove that there was a bridge across this. Actually, today there is no bridge across Narmada, like Ram Setu or something. But he is showing this picture made by himself that this could have been the way that Rama would have crossed Narmada to reach Bhagatrao. And his Ramayana date is only later than 2000 BCE. See, 2000 BCE means by 1500 BCE, the Indus civilization, also known as Saraswati civilization, had come to an end. So he is putting Ramayana around the Harappan period. That is the end of Harappan period. Suppose it was around the time of end of Harappan period, we would have got many evidences for Ramayana. Not only that, this date is coming well after Mahabharata. Why I am saying after Mahabharata? See, already it's not that I have proven, this is my book, 3136 BCE as the date of Mahabharata. The reason I'm saying this is the best or correct date is that Mahabharata date is found out from the day or the year that Krishna has left this world. It's a very well known, very well documented fact in the Puranas, in other sources, that Krishna left this world some 5,126 years ago. Counted from now, this year, 5,126 years ago, Krishna left this world. Because we are keeping track of time from that time known as Kali Yuga, Kali Mahayuga. So within Mahabharata itself, it is being told that the Mahabharata war happened 35 years before Krishna left. Or in other words, like this, Gandhari, the Kaurava's mother, she gave a curse to Krishna that the Vrishnis and Krishna will get destroyed on the 36th year after the Mahabharata war. So, if 3101 BCE was the Kali Yuga year when Krishna left, that means 3136 was the year of Mahabharata. No one can question it. If they are questioning it, they are questioning the version of Vyasa. 4 references are there in Mahabharata itself about the 35-year gap between the Mahabharata war and the year that Krishna left. Such being the case, how can we have Ramayana well after this? Ramayana occurred before Mahabharata. Within Mahabharata itself, Ramayana story is being told by Markandeya Rishi to the Pandavas in the Vanavasa. So Ramayana antedates Mahabharata. It didn't come after Mahabharata. Whereas Mr. Ajith Ravi's date of coming after 2000 BCE is totally baseless. And also he is showing the places within India. Now, I am taking up Mr. Nilesh Neelkanth's position of Lanka. This is the picture given by him. See, this is the route of Rama. That is when he has taken from Vanavas, right from the beginning of Vanavas. So from there, all these places, I am not going into that. Our concentration is on Lanka only. So up to this, he is coming. Mahendragiri. Because in Ramayana, it is being told, after crossing that is Hanuman, he jumped from Mahendragiri to the Lanka. So the Mahendragiri is a very important place now. So where is Mahendragiri? There is one Mahendragiri in Orissa also. There are many places in India, there is a Mahendragiri. And there is a Mahendragiri in Tamil Nadu also, right down here. So what Nilesh Neelakantha did was, initially, he took up this Mahendragiri and also in Rameshwaram. And initially he said that Rama crossed the Ramsetu, that today we know as Ramsetu, and then went to Sri Lanka. Till 2019, he was saying that. In 2019, I happened to meet him in person, and then we had a discussion. I raised two questions. First one is that at that period, he has given one date, that is 12,209 BCE, as a year of Rama Ravana Yuddha. So by 12,209 BCE, the connection between India and Sri Lanka, that is Ramsetu, was well above the sea level, because the morphology of that area itself is such that there is a land connection, natural land connection. That is, Sri Lanka is an extension of Indian land mass, whereas that was above the sea level, because we have the sea level map, sea level rise maps, made by many foreigners or many, I don't say foreigners, let me not say that, let me say researchers who work on sea level rise. They have made all those, everyone knows about it, and it's all being accepted by the international community. So that sea level map shows that in the year 12,209 BCE, Sri Lanka, that is the land connection, was well above the sea level. So there was no need for constructing a bridge there. But only by 7,000 years ago, that is around 5,000 BCE, the sea level had risen suddenly by 3 meters, and then it had inundated the Ramsetu, that connection. When Rama went over there, the sea water was just flowing over that land connection. So that necessitated him to build a bridge over that. You may even ask, he could have just used ships or catamarans to cross. But until then, it was above the water. Even in the beginning of his Vanavas, or when Ravana came to meet Marisha for the first time, when he came for the first time, he came on land. There is no mention of flying and all that. He just came by land, means he was just crossing that through, there must be a thoroughfare there, and he crossed it by the chariot. But only when Rama came there in the 14th year of his Vanavas, it had risen up. So, such being the case, how can you have your date at 12,209 BCE? I asked him. And then he is giving some explanation. For some time, he was trying to somehow convince people. But after that, instead of changing his theory, he changed Lanka and Nalasetu itself. He started saying, no, that is not the Setu. The Setu was somewhere here. That is, after Mahendragiri, then you go to Kanyakumari, and then from there, you go to Lanka. The Lanka must have been in the equator. Why the equator? Because in the Siddhantic Jyotisha Siddhantas, there is a mention of 4 cardinal directions. 4 places on the 4 directions placed on the equator. One such thing, that is to the south of India, is in Lanka. And then the east, there was Emakoti. In the west of India, there was Romaka. And then just behind us on the other side, that is 180 degrees away from us, Siddhapura. These are mentioned in Surya Siddhanta and then Bhaskarasa Siddhanta Shiromani. So it was just a cardinal point, we should say. And then it is also being told in the Siddhantas, that is in the Jyotisha Siddhantas, that the Earth's axis, the axis of the Earth, passes through Kurukshetra, Ujjain, and then Lanka on the equator. See, nowadays, even recently you would have heard the news that in the NCERT book, they have entered this idea that is a prime meridian initially was the Ujjain meridian only in olden days, not the present one in Greenwich. That was just to the west of us, 90 degrees from us. But today, when foreigners have taken charge of the knowledge, intellectual sphere, they started calling it as the 0 degree meridian. And we have come to the east of it. But originally, Ujjain was the prime meridian, and Kurukshetra, Ujjain, and Lanka were joined. So, where he is showing, where Nilesh is showing actually. Let me show another picture also. It is there. Maldives is here, just above that. You can see a group of islands here, but this is not even in that position, it's just away from that. But this doesn't match with the description of Lanka in Valmiki Ramayana, because it's so vast. Lanka is just one place in Sri Lanka, Ravana's Lanka. There are other places. Rama went to Suvela Mountains, and there was a very big plain where the two armies have met. There are so many descriptions about a vast region around Ravana's Lanka. Then where is the scope for a vast region there? And another way, I can just give one evidence to criticize this. That is that to say that this is not correct. Let me take up the inscriptions of Rajaraja Chola, 1,000 years ago. He has written in many of his inscriptions about the victories that he has scored. One of the victories is over Parandevu Pannirayiram. Parandevu Pannirayiram means 12,000 olden dvipas, that is islands. 12,000 here. So people have been wondering what could have been that 12,000 olden islands. And many scholars have come to the conclusion that it should have been Maldives, because that is a very, for Lakshadweep, there is another name, but that also is a group of islands. Maldives is also a group of islands. Today, there are 1,200 islands in Maldives. 1,200. Whereas he mentions 12,000, that is, it is the entire name of the place itself is Parandevu Pannirayiram. Suppose Lanka was one among them. That is, he has conquered this place, this Maldives. Suppose Lanka was one of them, definitely Rajaraja would have mentioned, wow, I won over Ravana's Lanka, because this is such a prestigious thing. Because similarly, you can find in Rajendra Chola's inscription that he has captured the crown of Parashurama. That's a very prestigious thing. That is, Parashurama, he clearly mentions 21 times he went on war with the Kshatriyas, won over them, and they captured their crowns and made a crown of it. And he secretly kept it in an inaccessible Sandima Dvipa that was on the west of Tulunadu in this location. There were some islands some 1,000 years ago. Now they have all gone under the water. And he has conquered them. He has taken possession of Parashurama's crown. He has mentioned it. So if Lanka was here, Rajaraja Chola could have definitely mentioned that he won over Lanka, but he did not. So based on this, I can say definitely this Lanka was not Ravana's Lanka. And the date also doesn't match that. And also this Ram Setu, whatever, there is no evidence of any Setu or bridge. And this is so true that the length is too high to be too much. Now, not just 100 yojanas or within. Now, this. I'll come to the, if there is necessity, I'll talk about the 100 yojana length. But let us focus on Ravana's Lanka alone. But this place, which is called, which he says, there must have been a Setu connecting India and the point on the equator. But there is absolutely no evidence for that. Suppose his research is being accepted, I tell you the kind of problems that we are going to face. Anytime in the future, any government which is it is antagonistic to Hindu thought will have no qualms in destroying the Ram Setu, that is the Nala Setu here in between India and Sri Lanka, on the pretext that there exists a scientific research by Nilesh that it was not the Ram Setu, because he rejects the Nala Setu as Rama's Ram Setu built by Rama. So this, if his research is accepted, then we are going to face a very bad future for that. At least for that sake, we have to reject it. But anyway, I have given you the evidence why it cannot be. The first evidence is that Ram Setu region he could not have built. I mean, there is no need for Ram Setu at that time, that is at the time of 12,209 BCE. And there is no evidence of any bridge here. So that is also not acceptable. So only these two people, that is this Ajith Nadamuri Ravi and Nilesh Wu, are the current time Indologists who are giving Lanka in a different place. Now let us come to Mr. Vedavir Arya. His date is 5677 BCE to 5577 BCE, Ramayana date. He gives a place called Pidiru Talaga in Sri Lanka. Pidiru Talaga, I am giving 4 different views of Pidiru Talaga. This is a mountain in the southern side of Sri Lanka. But this mountain, why he chose? He has to give a justification. Is there any evidence on what basis he has chosen that? He simply says, this is the tallest peak in Sri Lanka. So this could have been Ravana's Lanka. That is not justification to say that that it was Ravana's Lanka. There is no way that it can be called. There is no single evidence that he is able to produce that it was Ravana's Lanka. So that is also rejected. Now coming to Dr. D.K. Hari and Dr. Hema Hari, their date is 5114 BCE, as I have told, but they used astronomy simulator where you cannot exactly position the tithis, the nakshatras, and the duration of the rashis. Whereas Valmiki Ramayana is totally about Jyotisha, not about astronomy. So there are other issues with this, with the way the decipherment has been done, but that is not my focus in this talk. My focus is on where he placed Lanka. He is non-committal. In one of the books, he says it could have been at equator, like how Nilesh Vok says. And in another book, he says it is somewhere in Sri Lanka. Then where in Sri Lanka? And then he is showing the recently developed areas in Sri Lanka, such as Sita Elia. There is a place called Sita Elia in Sri Lanka, which the government of Sri Lanka has promoted as the place of Ashoka Vatika. Just 2 decades ago, they have made it as a tourist spot. For the sake of tourism, Ramayana tourism, they developed some places. But there is absolutely no justification. They could not give any justification. All that they could say is, oh, there is a river. There should have been a river or a waterfall or something. And it should have been in the forested area. And there should be Ashoka Vana. I have visited that place personally. There is just only one Ashoka Mara there. Ashoka tree, just one Ashoka tree there. Other trees are different. It is not an Ashoka Vana. But they say, though, it could have been. So Dr. Hari also is saying that could have been. So okay, let it be the Ashoka Vana. Then where is Lanka? Lanka should have been near. He is not able to show because the Sri Lankan government is not able to show Ravana's Lanka. From there it is showing a very far away mountain, 3 peaks of a mountain, and then saying that could have been Trikuta. Have they done any archaeological studies there? Or is there any evidence, any other source, either literary or otherwise, that it was the Lanka of Ravana? No evidence. So we are not able to accept that also. And he is also, Dr. Hari is also non-committal about it. So far, we have seen the main players or the researchers in this field who have talked about Lanka. But first, let us start from why there are so many Lankas within India. There could have been, some people may ask, there are many Lankas within India itself, many places with Lanka name. So why one of them could have been? How can you say, just because you believe that Lanka was in Sri Lanka, you are saying this, people can ask me. So I have to explain them why there are many Lankas in India and Bharat itself. The etymology of Lanka, first of all, I'm taking up. So what is Lanka? Why there are many Lankas? That word exists in Munda language. Many of the Munda languages, that is Munda sects, there are very many different sects are there. Many of them have the word Lanka to say a place. So from that only, the name Lanka has come to many places throughout India, because in the past, only Munda people, they were the natives of our India. So they only were present in many places. But even there, we are not able to get any etymology. The etymology comes not in Sanskrit also, but only in Tamil. This is Sendan Divakaram, a Tamil Tesharas. It says Ilangayum Turutiyum Yanavaram Peri, Arangamum or Tride Kuriveper. That is Ilangai. Ilangai means Lanka. Another name Turutti. and another name Rangam. All these means Atridai Kurai means it is a like you would have heard about Oxbow Lake. It's not an Oxbow Lake, but Oxbow Lake is how it is being made when a river or a water flow is there. In course of time, some sedimentation forms in between, and then it just grows up. The water is not able to flow over that. It goes around that. Similarly, this Lanka or Tuti or Ranga means some sedimentation or raised land in the course of a river or in the course of some water region, and then such that the water starts going around it, making it look like an island. So basically, Ilangai or Lanka is an island or something surrounded by water, created by this Artride Kore. Artride Kore means Aru means river. Because of the flow of the river, it is being made and it is being surrounded. There is another one, this is Binkala Nikattu, which is also in Tamil, which says the same description for Ilangai என்றால் வந்து துருத்தி ஆற்றடை குறை. Because of this reason only, Srirangam is known as Rangam. Rangam. That name came from the reason of Kaveri River flowing and then in course of time creating a raised ground or a sedimented ground. And today it has grown so huge that it's by itself looks like a city. So that is why it is known as Arangam. You can even call it as Lanka or Ilangai. That is how the name has come. The etymology has come. So any raised land formed by a water body around it is known as Lanka. From Assam to Tamil Nadu, mostly these Lankas are seen only in the middle of rivers. Not only I showed in Mahanadi and Narmada, in Godavari Krishna also there are Lankas in the middle of it. So this is there in many places. And Lanka is there in the native language of Mundas such that that name has gone into Telugu and Bengali to mean many other names, many other meanings are there. Like flowers, some flowers are known as Lanka, such that. But raised land formed by the water body is the etymology of Lanka. So having known that, we are coming to Ravana's Lanka. What does Valmiki Ramayana say? In Valmiki Ramayana, we have to have a definition of it. And here I am giving a definition told by Ravana himself to Sita just before abduction. Before abduction, they had a conversation. At the time, Sita asked Ravana, what is your name, Gotra, place, everything. At that time, he says, Lanka nama samudrasya madhye mama mahapuri. My mahapuri is in samudrasya madhye. So definitely, samudram means it is ocean. It is in the middle of the ocean. So definitely, it could not have been anywhere in India, within the Indian landmass. And also he says, Giri Murdani. Giri Murdani means Shikara, top of. So a Giri is a mountain. It is on top of a mountain. Nestled on a mountain top. My great city known as Lanka is there in the middle of an ocean and all over encompassed by an ocean. So definitely Lanka, as told by the Indologists, could not have been within India or somewhere in the equator. And another, the next Sarga itself, he also gives some additional information about how to spot his place. He says, Mama Pare Samudrasya Lanka Nama Puri Shubha. What is this Pare Samudrasya? If you have to read it as Samudrasya Pare. Pare means on the other side. On the other side of the Samudra, my place, that is Lanka, was there. My significant city known as Lanka is there on the other side. Just all kind of amenities, everything, all things. Which city will be on par with Indra's Amaravati? This is mentioned in a couple of places within Ramayana itself, even by Hanuman also. What is this Indra's Amaravati? You may immediately say, oh, it is a mythical city. There is no Indra. If there is no Indra, how can there be Indrajit? Ravana's son is known as Indrajit because he conquered Indra. So there must have been an Indra. So where he was? In those days, Burma, Thailand, and then Vietnam. That region was known as Indradvipa. That Indradvipa's chief was known as Indra. Even Skanda married the daughter of that Indra only. And then Ravana's son, Indrajit, he conquered that Indra only. And even Vali is mentioned as Indra's son because Indra had given his pendant to Vali that he used to wear all the time. You would have heard about from Valmiki Ramayana. Whoever comes in front of Vali, who wants to fight with Vali, this pendant of Vali will make the strength of 50% of the strength of the opponent to come to himself. So such was the pendant which was given by Indra. So the Indra was a reality in those days. And his capital was Amaravati. And about this Amaravati, in other places there are mentions. There are some mentions. And it talks about Amaravati on top of a hill. So like that, Lanka was also on top of a hill. It was not on the middle of, that is, even though it is in the middle of the Samudra, that exact city was on top of a mountain. That is the learning that we get from these things. And also, Alvars have given Nalayana Divya Prabandham 4,000 hymns. They frequently talk about Lanka because they are praising Rama. Whenever they praise Rama, they talk about Lanka. In 134 hymns, they talk about Lanka. And they talk about southern Lanka, Tenni Langai, in 25 hymns. So that means Lanka is in the southern part, or it could also mean within Sri Lanka, it could have been in the southern part. Because I repeat again, even though it is said that Lanka was surrounded by the ocean, it is on the other side of the ocean. Ravana himself specifically says that it was on top of a mountain. So it is a mountain in southern, in Sri Lanka. It could have been in southern Lanka. That is what that 1225 in 25 hymns the Alvars have said, and in 22 hymns they have said that Lanka was surrounded by water. Nammalvar has said in Thiruviruttam, verse number 77, that Lanka is in the southern direction. So definitely we cannot put Lanka within India in Narmada or Godavari or Mahanadi. And then Tondaradi Alvar, in his composition called Thirumalai, in verse 19 says that Lanka in the south of Sri Lanka. So anywhere to the south of Sri Lanka, you can search for Lanka, but definitely not to the north of Sri Lanka. That is what we are coming to know from these evidences. Now, I am coming to the inscriptional evidence. Where exactly? Okay, south of Sri Lanka. Why Needeshwok's place could have been correct? No. But people may ask. So I have to say, I have to give some other evidence. The evidence I am giving here is from Tiruvalangad copper plate inscriptions issued by Rajendra Chola, who was a son of Rajaraja Chola, issued some 1,000 years ago. This is verse 80 in that Tiruvalangad inscription. It talks about Rajaraja Chola's expedition to Lanka by crossing the ocean using a naval fleet. In that context, Rajendra Chola compares Rajaraja Chola with Rama. It says the Lord of the Raghavas, that is Rama, constructing a bridge across the water of the ocean with the help of the monkeys, killed with great difficulty the king of Lanka, that is Ravana, with sharp-edged arrows. But our terrible general, that is Arulmozhi Varman, also known as Rajaraja Chola. Rajaraja Chola's first external expedition is to Lanka. He crossed the ocean by ships and burnt the Lord of Lanka. Hence, Rama is surpassed by our Chola chief. See, the kings will talk very high of themselves, their own kings. Here he is comparing Rajaraja Chola with Rama, saying that he has surpassed. How and why? Rama, after all, had to construct a bridge with all difficulty to cross the ocean. But our Rajaraja, he used the naval fleet to cross. So which side or to which Lanka Rajaraja Chola went? He went to Sri Lanka. That means Rama also had gone to Sri Lanka. So this inscription is the main inscription major evidence to say that Lanka of Ravana was in Sri Lanka only, because Rama crossed only this stretch of water across the Mannar, that is across the Park Strait, like how Rajaraja also went. So Ravana's Lanka was on Sri Lanka and not on any other place. Now there are many Tamil inscriptions I can show. Just two I am showing, one from Sri Lanka and one from Tamil Nadu. And this is in Sri Lanka. There is one Shiva Devala in Sri Lanka, in a place called Polanaruva in northern Sri Lanka. This Shiva Devala was constructed by Rajendra Chola in memory of his mother, that is Rajaraja Chola's wife. There are many Tamil inscriptions there by Rajendra Chola and by later kings also. In all that it is written that they conquered Lanka. But it is in Polanaruva in northern Lanka, northern Sri Lanka. So the entire Sri Lanka was known as Lanka. And there is, from Tamil Nadu, I am showing this Tirumukkudal inscription by Rajaraja Chola's grandson, Veera Rajendra. He also says that he has conquered or he possessed Lanka, but he means Sri Lanka. So he actually possessed a few places only, not the entire landscape of Sri Lanka, but the entire landscape of Sri Lanka was known as Lanka. This is also being told in Mahavamsha, the Buddhist chronology present in Sri Lanka. Now, having now established that Sri Lanka, that is Lanka was in Sri Lanka, I am giving another evidence here. This is the Ram Setu or Nala Setu. On the Indian side, that is on Rameshwaram, there are Setupatis as the guardians. There are inscriptions in their names. And also on this side, there are Arya Chakravartis. On the Mannar side, they were also guarding this Nala Setu. So there are inscriptions in their name also. Now our opponents will say these inscriptions are only in the or some 14th century or after 16th century only, not before that. But that's not the point. The evidence, earlier evidence comes there from any oral tradition that says that Rama, even at that time, he engaged one Guha to be a guardian of Nalasetu here. So it has been guarded in Kambaramana. Also, there were references to people. There are toll gates in those days in Kambaramana. If you go by Kambaramana version, there were people. There were just enclosures, like there are gates where they will stop people. They will check. Then only they will allow. So this is why should they keep it like this? And why should the kind of inscriptions should be there? And Setupatis and Arya Chakravarti should be guarding that, unless it has some importance in the ancient past. This kind of even not a single reference is there for Nileshwar's Lanka, starting from Kanyakumari to equator. Now, coming to, people will ask, okay, you are saying Lanka is in Sri Lanka, but Sri Lanka is known by many names. People say it is Ceylon, people call it Sinhala, and then people call it Tamrapanni. Particularly, this Tamrapanni is there in Megasthenes works like Taprabon, or even Ashokan edicts, also it is there. But none of them, they don't say Lanka. Then where was this Ceylon and Sinhala and Tamrapanni? These questions are arising. So we have to answer those questions also. Coming to Ceylon, this name came into existence only in the 16th century, thanks to this Portuguese. In those days, Portuguese and Dutch, they around the 16th century, they started going on marine expeditions. They started going around the world, finding out new places. At that time, this Portuguese, they had in their literature a place called Ceylon. So they were looking for a place called Ceylon, and when they landed in Sri Lanka, they thought this is the Ceylon they are looking for. So they said this is Ceylon, which became Ceylon in course of time. This name is in existence only right from 16th century. Coming to Sinhala, this is a much older name, but this name, why this name came up, is being explained by Mahavamsha, that is the Buddhist chronicle about the king list or the kings or the whatever happenings, events of Sri Lanka. And it says, King Vijaya, there was one King Vijaya who was a son of Sinhabahu, who was exiled from India. He was somewhere in India, it says in Kalinga or in some place. From there, he was exiled. So he, along with his colleagues, he went on a ship looking for new pastures, and he landed in northern Sri Lanka. He landed in northern Sri Lanka, and he immediately, okay, it was a no man's land. So he started occupying. Only his friends started just spreading all over there. For example, you would have heard about the place name Anuradhapura in Sri Lanka. It was set up by one of Vijaya's colleagues only. So this Vijaya was originally known as Vijaya Simha. His father Simhabahu got that name because he overpowered a Simha, that is a lion. So they were known as the lion people. So from Vijaya Simha, that Simha name was taken up. From Simha, Simhala came. This I am not saying. Mahavamsha is saying that. Mahavamsha, that Pali work, is giving all this information, and it also says he landed in northern Sri Lanka. That is why simultaneously you have the name Sinhala and Lanka in Brihad Samhita by Varaha Mihira. So northern part of Sri Lanka was known as Simhala in those days. And then Tampabanni, this also appears in Mahavamsha. Mahavamsha says when Vijaya came, and the date of Vijaya also it gives, he landed in Sri Lanka on the very day that Siddhartha Gautama Buddha attained Nirvana. That means it should have been in 5th century BCE. So you can see a chronology here from Ceylon in 16th century to Singhala and Tambapanni in 5th century BCE itself. At that time, when he also landed in North Sri Lanka. Already it is told. But when he landed, when he saw the new land with nobody there, he said, okay, I can occupy this land. I can start ruling this land. And then he has just picked up the mud. That mud was coppery colored. Tamra means copper. Tamra Varni means copper colored. So the coppery colored mud he was so excited. Wow, it's a Tamra Varni. And there is another version also that the leaves of the trees that has fallen on the ground were coppery colored. That is why the Tamra Varni original name is Tamra Varni. That is for the northern Sri Lanka given by Vijaya. And that got changed into Tampabarni in Pali. Tamravarni is a Sanskrit word. Tampabarni is a Pali word. Taprabon is what the Greeks and Romans have told. So that these are all the names, other names, which have nothing, which are not sort of contradictory to the Lanka that we are talking about. Then where was Lanka? The same Mahavamsa gives the detail about Lanka. This is the topography of Lanka. You can see in the southern side, southern side, this is the mountainous region. Then the northern side only, Vijaya had landed. And this is the southern side. But Mahavamsha says the northern section was known as, in that time, that is in the 5th century BCE, it was known as Sirisa Vattu in Pali. That is Shirisha Vastu. What is Shirisha Vastu? Shirisha is a flower actually, which Shirisha means in Shiras, which you keep on the Shiras, on the head. That's a Shirisha Vastu. In Pali is known as Sirisa Vastu. This is given in Mahavamsha. That is the northern part. The Vijaya occupied Shirisa Vattu, whereas in the southern part, where the mountainous region is there, that was known as Lankapuri, given by Mahavamsham itself. It also says Yakshas were living in Lankapuri. The Yakshas were a kind of demons. In those days, they were treated as demons. And nobody, like Yakshas were guarding those places. No one could go near Lankapuri because the Yakshas were so sort of arrogant and then antagonistic to whomever comes there. And there was an Yaksha lady called Kuvenni who was staying in northern Sri Lanka in Sirisha Vastu. When Vijaya came, she fell in love with him, and Vijaya married Kuvenni, had 2 children, but later he abandoned her. And since that Yaksha lady married Vijaya, the other Yakshas were very angry with her. But when she was abandoned, she was killed by her own clan, that is the Yakshas. This story is there in Mahavamsha. It says Lankapuri. And then you will be wondering how a Yaksha will look like. Kubera is a Yaksha. This I'm showing one image of Kubera from our architecture. Pot-bellied, very short neck, and then brow sort of extending. So this is the image of Yaksha. You can recall, you can remember this kind of figures in many of our temple architecture, mostly holding the pillars or the weight of the temple. You can see at the bottom of the temple, you can see a row of yakshas. It's like this. They will be in a kneeling position and then holding it. And you can see the same figure throughout Southeast Asia up to Japan. If you are visiting places in Malaysia, even in Singapore, the old places, the archaeological, historical places, you will find this kind of pictures. That means the yakshas were there spread. These kind of figures are yakshas. Kubera himself was an yaksha because Ravana's father, Vishra, was married. He was in Sri Lanka only. Ravana's father was in Lanka. He was in somewhere in northern Sri Lanka. He married a Yaksha lady called Ilvala, and Kubera was born to her. And Kubera occupied Lankapuri, and he developed the Trikuta Shikara as the best place, whereas Ravana was born to the second wife of Vishravas. Second wife was a demon or a Rakshasa lady who came from the African side because her parentage, if you are looking at, there is Mali, Somali, Malyavan. All these names are there in, like Mali comes from, Mali could have been Maldives, Somali could be Somalia, then Malyavan could be Malabar in Africa. And Ravana is described as a huge bodied one, dark in color. So this could have been a black coming from the African origin. So there, that is a Somali's daughter. She was Kaikasi. Kaikasi was married to Vishravas. That is how with Ravana's lineage comes here. So Ravana and others were born. Ravana was black in color, dark in color, whereas his brother Vibhishana was known as Utpalavarna in Sri Lankan literature. See, all these are, I am taking from Sri Lankan literature, not from other sources. Sri Lankan literature says that Vibhishana was Utpalavarna, means Utpala means lotus, blue lotus. He was a lotus colored one. That means he is not black. So maybe he was like his father. So what I'm coming to say is this Lankapuri is being mentioned in Mahavamsha, and then Kuberas, that is Kubera like Yakshas were there. Now, coming to where Lankapuri is there, I am showing one text, Mahayana Lankavatara Sutra. It is in Pali. It is available in Sri Lanka. That talks about one Shikara. That talks about Lanka of Ravana. It says that when Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, he has visited Sri Lanka, he visited Ravana's Lanka. It is variously mentioned as Malaya, Mount Rohana. Rohana means Swarga Rohana. Like from there you go to Swarga. Rohana Hills comes in Ponniyin Selvan also. That is the Pandyan king. He had hidden his wealth in Rohana Hills, in the caves of Rohana Hills. That is Ravana's Lanka. It says when Bodhisattva came there to the castle of, that is the place of Lanka, Ravana himself came from Swarga in a chariot, in a floral celestial chariot. He visited Buddha and he has taken the preaching, he has become a disciple of Buddha. See, this could not be a true incident, but the Mahayana Buddhists wanted to promote an idea that Ravana himself became a disciple of Buddha. That is the point. But for our sake, we are finding this thing has happened on the mount of Ravana, on the mount of Lanka, on the mount of Chitrakuta. And what was that? Where was that? It is mentioned, that is here. Ravana says, for entire first chapter is about this only. Ravana says, the third one you can see, I have come here, I am called Ravana, the 10-headed king of the Rakshas, that is being mentioned there. So there is no doubt about who we are talking about. May you graciously receive me with Lanka and its residents. It is as though he is offering Lanka to Bodhisattva himself, that is a Buddha himself. So there he is getting the preaching. You may be wondering why this, this text was not at all brought to the notice of the public all these times. How you are able to bring it out? You may ask. The point is, initially, that is 2000 years ago, the Buddhist of But the Buddhism of Sri Lanka was Mahayana Buddhism. Later, they shifted over to Vajrayana or some other sect, not Mahayana. So once Mahayana was given up, all the texts of Mahayana were not even given any importance. But fortunately, some of those texts are being picked out and are being digitalized and being brought to the notice of the public today. That is how I landed up in this Mahayana Lankavatara Sutra, which talks about Gautama Buddha visiting the city of Lanka and then received by Ravana himself, who became his disciple. Then where was it? I am showing Lanka's things. That particular mount is known as Sripada Kuta or Sripada Mountain or Adam's Peak. Adam's Peak is what the foreigners have given the name. Like how they changed Ram Setu into Adam's Bridge, they changed this to Adam's Peak. It's a very popular one here. And here I am showing Mr. Vedvir Arya's Pidura Talaga. Pidura Talaga, though it could have been the tallest peak in Sri Lanka, though it is also present in the vicinity of this Adam's Peak or Sripada Malai. This Sripada Malai, also known as Trikuta Shikara, was Ravana's Lanka according to the Mahayana Lankavatara Sutra. Now I am showing the peak of Trikuta from a distance. It is surrounded by water outside also. Though there is a Samudra, it is a Lanka. Why it is a Lanka surrounded by water? You can see the peak here, Trikuta. Trikuta is a conical. Then another view of this mountain. Today it is a very popular pilgrim center for Buddhists. Not for us, not for Hindus. For more than 2000 years, this continues to be the number one Buddhist pilgrimage center. And then the entire hill, you can see, according to Valmiki Ramayana, Ravana's palace was on top. Whereas everywhere around it, there are many houses, white color houses, palaces. There are elevated bridges. So even in those days, to go from one place to another, he has constructed elevated bridges. So says Valmiki Ramayana. And another information is this peak is more than 2000 meters high, 2900 or so. There are gradations in forests. So it is 3 gradations in forest here, and then below, middle, and then upper. In the upper region, it is totally surrounded by what shall I say, the clouds. That is why it is known as Amaravati. Amaravati is described as something just hanging from the heaven or hanging from clouds. So from outside, when you are seeing, this will be seen as though that is the top is hanging from the cloud. And in the Tamil literature, Sangam literature, it is being told, Tungayil Yedinda Toditol Chembian for Rama. Rama was the one who destroyed the hanging walls of Lanka. Tungayil means hanging walls. Yayil means wall. This was 3-walled city, Ravana's place, and it appeared as though the walls were hanging from the clouds. That is why it is repeatedly told in Tamil literature, Tungayil Yerinda Toditol Chembiyan. And another view here also I am showing how it is. And this is a close-up view now. Now there is the people are going there because Buddha had visited that place. And 2000 years ago, one person called Saman, a Buddhist person, Bodhisattva called Saman, he stayed in this place. In this place, all these are forested. There are several caves also. And Buddha had stayed in one of the caves, it is being told. This is the way to go up to the hill. So somewhere here and there, buildings should have been there in those days. No archaeological work has happened because no one is ready, that is Buddhist or not at all ready to think that it is Ravana's place. According to them, it is their Buddhist region, that's all. And another one I am showing here. This side I am showing Kailash, Mount Kailash, and here the Trikuta that just now we have seen. Why I am showing is in Ravana, in Valmiki Ramayana itself, it is being told that this one, Kailasha Shikara Prakyam. That is like Kailasha Shikara. You can see the Shikara, that is the peak of Kailasha, which is conical, Trikuta, like Trikuta. And then Trikuta Shikara of Ravana is also similar to the peak of Kailasha. So Hanuman compares the city of Kailasha, city of Lanka with Kailasha. I am just showing both to show how they are identical. Whereas this kind of a similarity is not found with Vedvi Aryaji's Pidura Tilaga. It is not a conical one. It was a just blunt one. Even though it is it is taller than this Adam's peak, taller than Trikuta Shikara. It is not conical on top. Now, this is called Sripada on top of that is Sripada, that is Trikuta Shikara. I told it's a pilgrim center. What do people come and see there? They are seeing this, a broken piece, a huge piece of a foot is there. They call it a Sripada. The Sripada is found on top of it. Somebody had established it. People think it is the foot of Gautama Buddha. Though, so they are coming here to worship this feet, thinking that this is Buddha's. So this was actually founded by one Valagamba, a king Valagamba, who discovered it in 104 BCE. There is a story of it told in the Sri Lankan text themselves. That is a deer. When this king Valagamba was chasing a deer, he climbed this Sripada mountain. When he went on top of it, he discovered this. So that means no one knows who made this and when it was made. So only in 104 BCE, it was spotted by somebody. So even before that, somebody had kept it. What for? Who kept it? Whether it was meant for Rama, that question is there. Hindus of that area, Kandy region, Hindus were there. And for some time, at few decades in the middle of 15th century or so, Hindu kings were ruling this place. At the time, they converted into a Hindu place. And there is a Hindu chronology also saying that this was Shivanoli Malai. They say Ravana worshipped Shiva. He worshipped Shiva's foot here. So this is Shiva's foot. Some people claim this has that name as Shivanoli Malai. Among the Sri Lankans, that name is there. But Buddhists are calling it as Sripada. Whereas from the available sources that they are giving, they have no qualms in saying, yeah, it is Ravana's Malai. Yeah, it is Trikuta. Even though they accept it, in the text it is being given, they are not going beyond Vijaya's period to think what would have happened. Why not we do some archaeological, explorations? Because that will make a kind of clash of civilizations, clash of religions. So for the time being, you cannot expect it. But by bringing it out like this, only we can bring out. And then there was Ashoka Vatika that we have to find out in this place. I'm showing here, and this is the climatic and then forestry region. In this region alone is rainforest region. Ashoka trees grow in rainforest. So definitely in any other place, Ashoka tree could not have grown. And Ashoka trees grows only up to 1,000-meter high, not beyond that. Whereas Trikuta Shikara is 2,000, more than 2,000 meters high. So within the initial 5,000 meters, Ashoka Vatika should have been there. Only in this region, that is up to 1,000 meters, Ashoka trees are found in Trikuta Shikara. I am showing it on the eastern side. There is one river coming down. It's called Nalataniya. We know Nalatani means good water, but they give some other meaning. But they don't want to, maybe they do not know, but this is there for a long time, Nalataniya. And here there is a Mohini Falls. There are several falls in this. There is a Mohini Falls. Why I am saying that is this Valmiki Ramayana or Hanuman, when he went to Ashokavana looking for Sita, he found this, he saw this one Nadi and also falling down. Nipatitam Kapi, that is Nadi Nipatitam. That is a Nadi falling down. So a Nadi coming from, that is a river coming from the from the top of the peak. It just fell down in that place where Ashoka Vana was placed. You can see Hanuma saw river which fell down from the mountain like a beloved young wife who fell down after jumping from the lap of her lover. There is a Mohini Falls here. This area is surrounded by uh, uh, Ashoka trees. This comes at the height of 1,000 meters. The entire height is of Adams Peak is 2 kilometers, more than 2 kilometers. So it is on the way to Adams Peak. That is, it is on the way to Sripada. So people who are going on the way, they won't miss it at all. They will stand, they will take a photo and then go. Such a beautiful scenic place. So it is on, even though there are many falls on other places, I zeroed in on this place because it is on the way to Adams Peak. In Ramayana, Ravana used to come here to Ashokavana. So this must be easily accessible. So it must be on the way, the regular way. That regular way is there for more than 2,000 years. This path is under use for 2,000 years, means it had from Ratnapura it goes. So it would have been there. There are mountain pathways, even to Tirupati Malai, you can see regular walkable paths will be there right from time immemorial, which people would have used. So this was one such path. So it is on the path. This Mohini Falls is there. Here, once again, I am showing that Sripada is here. Adams Peak. It just comes here. Then Mohini Falls here. And then somewhere here, there is a pond. It's all being mentioned in the Ramayana also. So why it is mentioned? Here it is saying, I'm showing those exact verses. The best among the Vanaras, the son of Vayu, Hanuman, saw near the mountain lotus ponds together with a lot of the water animals. So there you can see a pond, that is water comes down and then it gets collected. And the next one, he also saw an artificial pond. Probably they would have created an artificial pond. Maybe why artificial pond? Because they would have developed some kind of decorations around it. Because Sita herself was sitting under a Shimshubha tree, which was made into there was a slab or a kind of a seat around it for her to sit. So this kind of artificial things were made in those times. We know that. So now now I have shown the probable place of Ashoka Vatika within the Trikuta Shikara where Ashoka trees are there. Now how Vanara could have come, that is Hanuman could have come. See here I am showing the Sripada. Why I chose this topography is to show the gradation of the contours of the mountains. It's an entire mountainous area, but it is gradually increasing. And Ramayana says, once on reaching Lanka, the shores of Lanka, he was able to see, Hanuman was able to, he was just going through many forests and many mountains. He crossed many mountains to reach this Trikuta. So where he would have landed? He would have landed here, near Colombo or Kelania. I am showing one place called Kelania. And there he would have, from here he would have landed. And then from there he would have gone straight, because that is the description. Based on Ramayana description in Sundarakanda, I am saying this. Then what is so special? How can we say that he would have come here? Kelania is a place of Vibhishana. Kelania, Vibhishana didn't stay with Ravana. Only Ravana stayed on Sripatamala. That is a Trikuta Shikara. Whereas he was in Kelania, originally is known as Kalyana. Kalyani. That's a Sanskrit word. And in Pali, it converted into Kelania. In Tamil, it is known as Kalani. Kalani Pagudi. People used to say, even today, it is known as Kalani in Tamil. In Kelania is just to the north of Colombo. And in Kelania, there is a Vibhishana temple. And today, it has been made into a Buddhist shrine. You search internet, it will show it as a Buddhist shrine only. But fortunately, this figure of Vibhishana being crowned, done the Pattabhishekam, this figure, this sculpture is there on the outer wall of the temple. Whereas when I go through the Sri Lankan literature, there are many Sandesha Kavyas. Sandesha means Tudu. Tudu means it is swans that is asking them to go and convey. Yeah. And then that kind of Sandesha Kavyas, they all talk about whether either peacocks would be doing the Sandesha or even swans. They fly and then come to Kelania to Vibhishana's temple is mentioned there. It also says Vibhishana, who got his kingdom back from his brother with the help of Rama or Vishnu. All these are mentioned. So it is very clearly known Kelenia was once Vibhishana's place. So if there's some other in Mahabharata period also they visited Vibhishana, means they visited this place only. Nobody was there in Sri Lanka, that is in Trikuta Shikara, after Ravana was killed. It was burnt and it was occupied by the local Yakshas only, who guarded this very well until Vijaya's time. Now those people have come to be known as Vedda. You would have heard of VEDDA, because genetically it is proven. There are many skeletons got from this place of these Yakshas. So when we compare them with the present day Sri Lankans, the Veddas were the natives of Sri Lanka who were the descendants of the people who died at that time. That is the Yaksha people. But today they don't look like this Kubera Yaksha. They look like normal people only because of cross marriages throughout the ages. So that is a different thing. But in near Kelenia only, he would have come. But today, the Kelenia is known as a Buddhist shrine. So anybody going to Sri Lanka, please look for this Vibhishana image. We have to keep saying that, because someday this also may be removed. This should not be. And then I'm coming to the other evidences to show how that is Vanara, that is Hanuman came. Here I am giving a very important evidence, internal evidence from Ramayana. You would have heard about a lot of controversies for the date I have given. The foremost internal evidence, which no one can deny, is this Kavatam Pandiyana. That is, this is being told by Sugriva to the Vanaras on the southern coast, search for these places. At that time, he says, go to Pandya's Kavatam and search there. So Kavatam is the second Sangam capital of the Pandyas. Second Sangam capital came into existence only 7,000 years ago. The evidence for the dates is in Nakira's Irayanar Kalangil Urai. No one can deny that. So historically and by internal evidence, we have Valmiki himself giving this evidence for the indirect evidence for the date of Ramayana. And also he says, once you go to Kavatam, there in Kavatam, there is a Mahendramala, Mahendragiri. See, the Mahendragiri I told in several places, in Kavatam, which is now underwater. Kavatam no longer exists. It was lost into the waters 3,500 years ago. That is by 1500 BCE, Kavatam was lost into the sea. So there was one Mahendra Malai, means that also is underwater. And Ramayana says that Mahendragiri was penned down by Agastya. So when you go to Kavatam, the Mahendragiri's end at that place is under the water, whereas the other side is just above the water from some distance. And why Agastya's name? Wherever, see, these are all metaphorical things, like whenever the land goes down or goes up or it stops, by a mountain is stopped, Agastya name will be there. Whenever a water is being drunk or a water is being let out, like how Kaveri water was let out, then Agastya name will be there. These are all we have to understand wherever they are using it. So Mahendragiri is there. So on the other side, that is here also you see, the tasya apare pare. Pare means on the other side. So on going to the Mahendragiri, from there you are seeing on the other side of the ocean, you can see Lanka. Go that you search there also. So now we are seeing where Kavatam could have been there. On this end, I am showing the Indian landmass. This is Sri Lanka. So this is Colombo. That means here Kelenia. That is Hanuman landed up here. Somewhere here was the Trikuta Shikara. How did he go there? For that is here, close up detail. Here I am showing Negombo. You know, there is one Nikumbila. It is she was a guardian deity of Lanka, was Nikumbila. In Ramayana, it is being given. So it is just nearby only. The guardian deity was overpowered by Hanuman when he entered. That Nikumbila was worshipped by Indrajit. Ramayana says. So I showed Kelenia somewhere here, just close to that Negombo. So probably Hanuman entered here near Nigam. It is known as Nigambo now. From there, he has gone to Sripata mountain here. Then further, wait, how to? I'm here showing a old map from Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. Erythraean Sea, Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. It was prepared 2000 years ago. This book is available in digital form today. This is about an unknown or unnamed traveler who came from the Red Sea. Erythraean Sea means from the Red Sea he came around, and he whatever places he visited, he has recorded. He has even given a map of whatever he has visited. And let us now look at the south side, South India and Sri Lanka, this region. Let me amplify this map here. I have amplified this, zoomed it. Can you see something on the water which are not there today? This is the Indian landmass. This is Sri Lanka. See, 1, 2, 3 on the southwest side, some islands were there. And towards the side of Sri Lanka, 2 huge islands were there. 2000 years ago. Today they are not there. So this shows this is an evidence that there was landforms until 2000 years ago in this part of India, in the sea, in the Mannar. Let me just map it like this. Whatever we have seen in the Periplus map, I am just showing here the 3 and the 2 here. The 2 are just closer to Colombo only. Now I am further showing the route of this Vanaras or Hanuman explained by Sugriva. See this landmass here, Agastya. He talks about first Agastya on top of the Malaya mountain, which is Brahmagiri. Then from there he says the next location is Tamraparni river, which is in Trinalveli. So from there he says you go to Kavatam. Go to Kavatam, he says. So this is Kavatam. So you can see the route. The Vanaras, that is of Hanuman, that is, if suppose you want to go, means you have to go this way. That is what he said. So coming to Kavatam. Kavatam was in, water area. And as I showed in the Periplus map, it was some landforms were above the sea level till 2000 years ago. So this is 3500 years ago, this Kavatam was there. And now we are talking about Ramayana time, 7000 years ago. So many places, a larger area could have been there. So from there, you just land up. Only this much only, Vanara, that is Hanuman had crossed. This I am comparing with this region. This is 100 yojana. This is also 100 yojana. Because Hanuman had jumped for 100 yojanas from Kavata, from Mahendragiri. Because Mahendragiri is here only, not there. Please remember. Well, you may ask, no, you should put here. No, this was the way of Rama. Rama came through Rameshwaram. There is no Mahendragiri there. Whereas there was a Mahendragiri in Kavatam as per Sugriva's version. So from the Mahendragiri, he has just jumped over to Negombo. Negombo I showed in the previous one, Nikumbila, that guardian deity he has met. And near Kandy, the next one is this is the Sripadama, that is Trikuta Shikara. This is the route taken or mentioned. Now I am showing, now I have almost established the location of Lanka, how it was accessed by people. 3 people went to Lanka. First Ravana. When Ravana abducted Sita, he abducted her and then taken her in the Pushpaka Vimana. The route he has taken, it is being given in the Valmiki Ramayana. Nashik is where, Panchavati is there. There he has abducted, Ravana abducted Sita, taken her in the Vimana. Then Sugriva's, that is Rishyamukha Shikara. When they were crossing over Rishyamukha Shikara, the Sita saw 5 Vanaras standing there. Then she had thrown down her jewelry. That is Belagavi, not in Hampi. That's a very huge mistake that people have made. People say Kishkinda was in Hampi. You know, on what basis? They said there is a Pampa river. There should be a Pampa river because it explains that not a river, it was a lake, huge lake. near Rishyamukha Shikara, where Sugriva was staying in the cave. I have identified the cave in my book. Those photos and those locations are going to be published. Whereas people are putting Kishkinda in Hampi. Hampi is in the center of the Deccan. And in Hampi, there is no Pampa river. But how, how people identify Hampi as Kishkinda? They said Pampa, Pa changes over to Ha in Kannada language. So Pampa could have become Hampa and Hampi. That is how it had changed. So that is not a proper way of establishing a place. When there are several references to identify a place given by Valmiki, you cannot identify like that. Because here I am showing Belagavi. There are other reasons which I am not divulging now. But Belagavi is the place, there is a cave there, Panchamukha Lingeshwara cave, which was the cave occupied by Sugriva and others. Just next to that is the Mount Prasavana, where Rama stayed. So what happened? Ravana, he crossed Belagavi. Because they're there in the Rishyamukha, Sita noticed the Vanaras. And then after crossing the Pampa, it is said, he turned his vehicle towards Lanka. This is what is mentioned in Valmiki. Why? I thought, just next to that is Gokarna. Below that is south of it is Gokarna. And we know very well about from other legends of Ravana that he had visited Gokarna in the past. So he would have made many trips to Gokarna in the past. So up to Gokarna, he knows the route. So once having crossed Belagavi, he comes closer to Gokarna and he turned his vehicle towards Lanka, straight towards Lanka. There is no deviation after that. On the way, he crossed many rivers and forests. These are all mentioned. But the turning of the vehicle to Lanka means this is the route of Ravana. Now I am showing the route of the Vanaras. Initially, the Vanaras, headed by Hanuman and Angada, when they were lost in the Vindhya mountain for some time, then they met Sampati. Sampati only told them to go to search in Lanka that Ravana had taken back, taken Sita. So from there, here you can see, from here, somewhere here in Vindhyas, the Vanaras were traveling. They were coming on the eastern side. Why? In Ramayana, there is a mention about this. That is the ocean. They have seen the ocean. They saw the reflections in the ocean. That means they were coming on the eastern road. This eastern road is there for time immemorial. People can just walk throughout this. And when I do the dating only, I know how long it takes. It had taken 2 months for them to come here. And then they came to here, Kodikare or Point Kalima. And then they have on the way, they have seen Rameshwaram. They did not go there because that is not the easier way to, because if you go to Rameshwaram, then you have to cross here. From there, you have to go to Trikuta Shikara. So instead, they had gone to Kavatam. Here is Kavatam. From Kavatam and the Mahendragiri, he had made a jump to Lanka. So this is the route of Vanaras. And people ask, why do you date? When you date only, you come to know how long they have taken and you are able to justify the walk here. 2 months they have taken to come over here. Now the last one, before that, I'll show the another point also. That is Kodikare I showed. The top one is Kodikare, the Point Kalimar, Rameshwaram. So in Kodikare, there is one Ramarpada, you would have heard. There is a legend here. Rama was standing there. From there, he saw Lanka. But it is not so according to Valmiki Ramayana. Probably in later period, after he has become a king, he would have visited that place. And since he visited that place, they have just put into memory as a Ramarpadam. So that Ramarpadam, the only Vanaras would have just watched, gone there. When they were coming, they would have seen. And then when they crossed to Rameshwaram, they would have thought, okay, this is a better place to cross. But for everybody, but for a single person to cross, let us go to Kavatam. This is Kavatam. From Kavatam to Trikuta Shikara, they have gone. Now, lastly, Rama's route. Rama was in Nashik. Nashik was Panchavati. He started searching for Sita just by walk. And then he came to Belagavi, that is Rishyamukha Parvata or the location of Sugriva. And then from there, he only stayed on top of a mountain, a short mountain only. And that is the eastern slopes of the Western Ghats. From there, just 1 yojana distance, Kishkinda was there, according to Valmiki Ramayana. So definitely Hampi cannot be there. And also the flora, fauna explained here are not there in Hampi, only here. And there is a Pampa water, that is now it is not known as Pampa. There is a backwaters of a Kalindi Nadi here. So he stayed here for some time. When Ravana, Hanuman came and informed him, Rama was here. After he came to know about Sita's location, they just walked on the mountain only. They didn't come, Rama didn't come on the ground. Only on top of the mountain, Angada and Hanuman were carrying Rama and Lakshmana on their shoulders. And they would have crossed the Palakkad Pass. This is my contention. Because how they came to Rameshwaram, the route, the present route, or this route was there for time, or for all times in the past. So near Palakkad, and then when you are coming down to Palakkad, cross the mountain that is coming to the plains in Palakkad Pass, and to the south of Madurai they would have gone. Then they came to Rameshwaram, stayed there. From there, Ram Setu was built. Then he went to here. Because of lack of time, I didn't talk about the place. Suvela, the Sigiriya mountain you would have heard. Sigiriya is the Suvela mountain. Because if you go to the archaeological and other historical features of Sigiriya, it was occupied by later day kings only. They only made the top as a flat, rocky thing. Earlier in Rama's time, it was forested. Where from Sigiriya, this Sripada Malai, that is Trikuta Shekara, was 172 kilometers only. So when you climb on Sigiriya, from there you can see Trikuta. So Rama climbed on Sigiriya and then had a view of Lanka. In between Sigiriya and Trikuta, there is a plain area. In that plain only the war had happened. Those things I am bringing out in my book, but not here due to lack of time. So with this, I am coming to the end of demystifying Ravana's Lanka. You can see the Mount of Trikuta in the middle. I am just coming out of it.